it on? Right. Let's get the chi flowing. Where's my sip? Glorious. Glorious. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. What will we goo? Nobody knew what we goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo 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 goo. My spina knows its timer for the goo. I can feel my chi flowing. Painting goo. It's painting goo. What will we goo? Nobody knew what we goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. 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 Painting goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Goo goo goo. Goo 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 goo. It's like every time. Is it just a habit now? Am I just like, have I trained myself to laugh at that part? Like, oh. That's it, Myro. You beautiful, marvelous, mischievous monkey. Pray that piano. You petrified primate, you. Painting goo. Painting goo. Goo, 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 goo. Alright, you filthy mortar scum. You know the drill. Pay the monkey so he doesn't go hungry. Place a tip in the mischievous monkey's bowl, or your ancestors will look upon you with great shamer. Click the link in the description and pay the monkey. Greetings, my beloved Japonator, and a welcome to another glorious episode of Paintingu. And this This fucking... The rinds are off, the framing is off, and I am instantly vexed at this shit. But, it's no matter. It's no matter. Right. That's better. That's better. Look at that. A beautiful mountain in Chile. Please excuse me whilst I descend into proper paintingu posture. Where's my thingy? Ah, there we go. Oh. Some stiffness in the stool. Initially, it was smooth. But we met some resistance on the way down. Oh, my spina does indeed know it's time for the goo. Right. My ass is firmly planted in my ass groove on this pillow/stool combo. For those of you at home wondering, yes, the pillow is placed upon a large brack stool upon which I sit. Ugh. For those of you who are retarded, that is some wordplay. It is indeed a stool that you sit on, and not a giant brack poop. Right, who has honor this day? My beloved Japonaita. Grifu-sama, straight in. Staburu-sama, honoring Grifu-sama. And Desmondu-sama. Hapu, Friday-u, Japonaitu. Glorious. Glorious day it is. It is indeed glorious. Hedgehog? Why hedgehog? Not that I have anything against hedgehogs. They are hilarious and cute. But... hedgehog. You have distracted me, Grifu-sama. My mind is a-squirring. Right. Today is a funky Friday. As we return to Chile to paint... What are we painting? What came out of the magic hat? First thing to emerge. To emerge from the magic hat. Ah, somebody has honor this day. Somebody has a paid for paintingu. Swollen abdomen has paid for painting. The first thing to emerge from the hat was tap. We shall be placing a giant tap either in the mountain or in the sky. Probably in the sky, because the second thing that emerged from the... I believe it was the second thing to emerge from the Magic Hatu was rainbow. And then, finally, my personal favorite, Underbiter. Glorious. Absolutely glorious. Right. We shall be painting a tap in the sky, producing agua descending from the skies, and the tap, said tap, producing a rainbow. And, considering Chile is home to many ramas, we shall be painting funny-looking ramas about the place, and each of them shall have a glorious underbiter. Right, swollen abdomen, what have you to say? Greetings, Defenderu-sama. May you have a glorious goo. I must be knitting hard right, whilst everyone attends the Batarian Fest. Gay away inbound to the biggest of bears. Indeed, indeed. I too have gay away to pay. Gay to pay away. Even I, Defenderu, demigod of a paintingu, occasionally succumbs to gayness, and must pay it away to Big Beru-sama, king of Bertaria, a glorious mortal. Perhaps he also has some divine blood coursing through his veins. Not the Jewish kind, like many a Redditor seems to believe. But anyway, anywho, it's a bit warm. Despite it being grey and blustery, rainy, all around miserable today, really. There has been a few spots of sunshine, but overall, it has been quite English on the island today. It's one thing the English and the Irish have in common. Shitty weather. Right. As I place my royal rag upon my divine knee in preparation for the goo, I shall select today's tunes. It being Funky Friday, we are going to be playing some funk. Shall I begin with Japanese funk or hip-hop funk? I shall await a reply from the Japaniter. Japa funk or hip-hop funk first. There will probably be some of both. We have Bishido funk. We have quite the selection of funk. Oh! Oh! Glorious. An excellent Gepu. Hints of banana and cream cheese on cracker. English dogs. Have you got something against boar dogs? I love English boar dogs. They are hilarious looking. They are the perfect combination of retarded, ugly, and kind of cute. Boxers. Boxers are also very derpy and dreary and retarded looking, but they are hilarious, adorable, and full of joyful energy, but can also serve as quite the weapon to defend your home. The people are not replying to my musical questions, so I am simply going to choose one myself. Where's the funk? Where is the funk? Give me the funk. Aggressive funk, my favorite kind of funk. Aggressive funk by Funk Demon. Ooh, glorious. Right, if your cheese not flowing, it's about to flow like a raging river of testosterone. Right. Let's paint a fucking... Well, I was about to say, let's paint a fucking rainbow. But first, the top of this mountain is a bit opaque for my liking. Glorious. Desmondo-sama, get out of your creative funk. I need some phrases. Come now. Right. First things first. Must shock the goo. I must excite the pigments. Make them elevated. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo goo goo. My brack and yarrow tubs broke today. Rookery. I had replacements. For a moment there, I was quite vexed. Nobody likes crack in goo tub. Nobody. A cracked goo tub is a nicked gut, as the Germans would say. Japan and Germany have an interesting relationship. I was just pondering why a Japanese demigod that is half Japanese and half Irish would be fond of Nazis and speak a bit of Deutsche. Axis. The Axis explains it all. Makes so much sense. Painting goo 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 goo. Pop 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 painting. Goo 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 goo. Such beautiful pigments. If your cheese not flowing, you probably have some gay to pay away. You should head over to owenbenjamin.com and pay your gay away. Pop 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 painting goo 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 painting goo. Pop 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 painting goo 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 goo. The brack is always rast, as it should be. Because once you go brack, it's hard to go back. Just makes sense. It's fucking brack. Only thing that really covers brack is white. Those masons know what they're doing. Keeping them separate. Barely touching. Like, just, you know, side by side. The brack and white works best. Separate. Segregated. Right. Let's make this more white. If only I could do that to Europe. Painting goo 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 goo. Time to get these bitches wet. Painting goo 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 goo. Look at that. Nice and fluffy. Nobody likes a stiff, dry bitch. Nobody! Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo. I still think Test Your White would be hilarious modification of Test Your Might. So funny. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Paintingu, goo, goo, goo. Painting, goo, 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 goo. Painting goo, 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 goo. Already dry. Should have expected as much. Painting goo, goo, goo. He thinks it actually looked better without all the extra snow. I will remedy this. Painting goo, goo, goo. Dry brushing is not very difficult, but a bit awkward with this paint, because it dries so quickly. Bit darker. They are already deleting my comment too. For shame, YouTuber. They are upping their censorship gamer. They don't want us talking about a certain young female in Scotland. Ah, of course. Of course, that's the current thing. Hilarious. Shameful, YouTuber. Shameful. Bit better. Ah, my beautiful female has arrived from France. How are you, my love? Better. Not as random and messy looking. Much better. Glorious. Right. The mountain has been made slightly better. France's fab so far. Excellent. Tell your sister I said hello. Just keep your hatchet and kitchen cutty thing at your side. And yes, do as the sapsucker suggests. Hilarious. Oh, hilarious. I have been praying rise of P. Of rate. I still cannot believe they just put it up for free. I was like, what the fuck? But, not going to complain. Right, let us construct this tap. Let us paint a tapu. I experience rise of P when I imbibe too much coffee. Pistolet! Que secul pistolet non avon que de baguette et du fromage point? Listen here, you! You French-Canadian fuck! You ever speak that muck in my stream again? Frog Tonga is not around on this painting. Sorry, but I don't speak surrender monkey. Surrender monkey. I'm afraid I don't speak surrender monkey. Please translate. Painting goo 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 goo. I, I always thought about that, where like, is it right that like everybody gives the French shit for what they did? Because like we all got told that like Hitler bad and Nazis bad and they're evil and all this shit, like, and then you grow up and you realize that you were only told one side of the story. So like, you know, it's not that like Nazis good and Hitler good, but like you were definitely only told like one side of the narrative, like, you know. A clear case of like history is written by the victors kind of thing, like, you know. But I've always thought about that, like, what if like the way it went down was like surrendering the way the French did was like totally the moral thing to do for the people, like, you know. Because I can imagine that scenario where just a load of fucking armor and like men show up and you're just like, I mean, we could quickly gather our forces and fight back, but we'd probably all get killed in the process. Wouldn't it be better for everyone if we just like let them do their thing? Like, do you know what I mean? You could describe it as like the cowardly move, or you could describe it as like an incredibly wise and like egoless move, you know. Especially when it comes to honorable things and all like that, it's not actually always dishonorable to yield, you know. There's moments where like yielding, or there's moments where not yielding is actually just going to prolong the suffering needlessly, you know. You gotta know when you've lost, like, kind of thing, you know. Gun? What is a gun? We have baguette and stinky cheese on. Frog tonga. Bonjour. Yeah, cheese eating surrender monkeys. Groundskeeper out, will you? Bonjour. Yeah, cheese eating surrender monkeys. Oh, that's hilarious. Bonjour, you cheese-eating surrender monkeys. That's fucking gas, that is. I thought Micah was in the wrong place, but he wasn't. Micah looks extra retarded today because his eyes are like facing opposite directions. I love it. Hereditary, Franca had to either surrender or face mass civilian casualty during Blitzkrieg. Yeah, see? I don't even know my history, and like that just seemed like an obvious thing to me. Based on like the way it's told. Is like, you know, like they marched straight down the fucking the Arc de Triomphe or whatever it's called, like, or the Arc de Triomphe, and the French are just like, yeah, like a fuck ton of people are gonna just get murdered if we like fight back, so best not. You know, like, another coffee? Like, coffee? Fuck that! Hand me that wine! like imagine being in France when that happened, and you're just like sitting there and all that wine is there, and you're just like, bottoms up, gentlemen. Not in that way though. Like, I'm surrendering, but I'm not surrendering that. Like, although I think a real man would, like if you're at gunpoint and the options are, we're going to snuggle your female, or like sodomize you, you know, I'd be like, well, sodomize me then, because you're not touching her, like, you know. I've thought about scenarios like that where it's like, because you have all these like the tough guy mentality of like, I would kill them all, I would John Wick the shit out of them, I would wait for the opportune moment like Captain Sparrow and spring forth like a ninja. Like, but like if you're outnumbered and outgunned and like, you know, your hands are literally tied behind your back and you're on your knees with a gun to your head, and like you're given a series of options, it's like we either like, you know, pervert and fucking what would be we either sully you or we sully the female, I'd be like, well, do whatever the me then, like, do you know what I mean? Leave her the fuck alone, like. But you also, like, obviously have to take into account that, like, depending on who you're dealing with, they probably end up just doing both. So it's like that whole thing of like, is a Christian allowed forsake Jesus and God, if it means that like him and his family are gonna like survive through like some kind of invasion, like, do you know what I mean? That sounds like a giant cope. I know it does, yeah, I know it does, but like, unfortunately, it's probably very real, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing about, like, war, is it's really hard to have an honorable war, you know? They're kind of, like, they're kind of sketchy, like, as a concept, you know? Like, I well prefer the idea of a champion on champion thing. You get your best guy, and we'll get our best guy. And we'll see who wins. Because, like, then you don't have this whole mass sacrifice thing for, like, what? A jurisdiction? Land rights? A fucking, like somebody got cooked, and they want revenge. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, no man ever wants to be in the position where, like, something like that happens, but, like, men like that have been in positions throughout history. As far as we've been told, anyway. And as far as, like, even, like, recent history goes, like, you know, places in Africa and stuff like that. Like, I'll never forget that episode of Ross Kemp, where he was, like, in an... I'm pretty sure it was an African prison. And like, the black guy is like, every new guy that comes into his cell, he's like, I take him and I rape him. And it's like, okay. And then I think the interviewer was like, well, then does that not make you like a homosexual? Like, does that not make you gay and all? Like, and he's like, no, they are the gay ones, you know. I treat them like they are female, like, they are the gay ones. And you're kind of just left sitting there being like, okay, you know. Like, no wonder they have you caged up in a fucking, in a hellhole, like, you know. Like, there's fucking lunatics out there, like, you know. Like, all that war stuff gets so dark, man. You know? It's just so dark. And, like, there's almost never, like, a good reason for it, like, you know? Like, say what you want about, like, righteousness and expelling demonic forces and all this stuff, like, it's always, like, a lot, like, unless you have, like, you know, concrete evidence that somebody did something horrific, and even then, like, you know, it's a tough one, like. Makes sense. I mean, that's why, like, everybody's still, like, separate, like, you know. Everybody has their beliefs, everybody has their lines they won't cross, or lines they will cross. And not all cultures are created equal, like, you know. Some cultures, like, you look at it and you're like, holy fuck, what the hell, like. Now, out of your domicile and leave your shoes behind. We need lots of shoes for some reason, apparently. I have been told by the commandant to collect all your shoes.
9! Put me to the sword, not that one. If I am asked to deny Jesus. I don't know. I don't see the point in, like, just being slaughtered because you won't, like, over principle, you know? But, like, those scenarios are always, like, in the context of you've already made... Well, not even made. You've already either made a load of choices or not made a load of choices to end up in a scenario where, like, somebody has you on your knees with a gun to your head, like, you know? You've already fucked up a lot to get yourself to that point, like... It's not like you just show up out of nowhere, like, fucking teleport into your room and just, like, you know... An excellent tap! Very basic, but excellent. I'm satisfied. Going a bit darker now. These moments where, like, I'm really trying to, like, you know, make it look nice and clean. And I'm, like, singing in my head, you know, like... Fair point. It depends on what choices were made prior to that scenario. Yeah, like, you know, like, you could totally make the argument, and I would, that, like, well, if you ended up in a situation where somebody has a fucking gun to your head, and they're telling you to, like, you know, pick you or your missus, or you know, or watch your kids die in front of you, or, like, you know, pick what child dies first, or, you know, any of these, like, horrific fucking potential, like, hypotheticals, like the obvious thing to think is, like, well, how the fuck did you end up there? Like, you know, like, It's like I always get reminded of Born Bear. I just think that's like that's an example that I personally am aware of. That was told to me by him, and I remember thinking to myself, "Well, why did somebody do that to you?" You know, what did you do? For someone like to want to do that to you, like. I remember the first time he told me, he was like, "Oh yeah, these lads came in with a lock and a sock and like bet the shit out of me and broke my arm and all like." And I was like, "Jesus, that's intense, like, you know." And then instantly I was like, "Why? like why would somebody do that?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be really fucking pissed off at someone. Or they owe you a lot of money, or like, you know, or you did something to them, like from their bloodline or something, like, you know, you fucked the guy's missus, like something, like, for him to be like, you know, "I'm gonna get a few boys together and kick your door in and like break you up." Like, easy to say you wouldn't give in until we are placed in said scenario and forced to make a decision then and there. I have no intention of turning my back on the one being that has the ability to return life to me and my family. Yeah, but none of us know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the whole faith thing is, like, do you know, it's like, I have faith in Jesus or God or whatever, like, and I do have faith in unseen forces, but I don't know. I believe, and I think, and I rationalize, and I try and use what we call logic to like come to like the right answer in quotes. But unless something is like in front of you, typically like you can't really like know. And that's what, like, you're right there. It's like easy to like speculate and say all this shit, and it is. It's like most guys would be like, "Oh yeah, like, you know, fucking I die before X," and it's like, probably need to check your ego on that one, you know. Because, like, it depends on the scenario. You know? It really does depend on the scenario, like, and what's happening and shit. And that's why, I think that's why it's good. Like, is it the Buddhist thing? Or the Shaolin thing? I can't remember. They're probably not the only ones that do it. But they regularly contemplate death. They, like, meditate on their own death. And, like, when it would happen and how it would happen. And, like, what the experience of dying would be like and all this, like, and they do it so that they appreciate still being alive. And that's very wise, in my opinion. I think that's very wise. That's a good looking tap. Especially from a distance. Force of habit actually made me reach for the bucket there. That's hilarious. Haven't had the bucket there in a while. Yeah, I think I was just thinking there. I think that's what, you know, like the stuff that Owen came across when he was talking about the Trinity and shit like that, and all the Christians were like, you know, that's my faith you're talking about, kind of thing. Same with the Indians, like they worship dung and all that shit, and you have all these people being like, don't you talk smack about my faith and all. Like, from what I can like discern, that kind of reaction, no matter what faith you are, or what faith you hold or subscribe to, the reaction of like, it is just this, and it's what I believe, and like, if you say, you know, like the Muslims have a lot of it. It's like, if you say anything against Allah, like, you know, you're an infidel and all this fucking shit. Like, meanwhile, everybody like takes a crack at Jesus, and like nobody really cares, like, because he's so forgiving and all this stuff. Like, oh, it's so tempting to lean on the canvas to get like a minute control. There we go. It's weak. I think that's weak. To be like, you know, to not be able to hear something, or it like, do you know what I mean? It's like that churchian response of like, you need to say the words, like, you have to have faith and all, like, you know, it's like, I understand the concept of faith. It makes total sense to me, like, because it goes hand in hand with like belief, and is almost the total opposite of like, well, not the opposite, but it's like a weird paradoxical parallel to knowing, like knowing without knowing kind of thing, you know? Like, your faith is so strong that as far as you're concerned, you're like, that is going to happen, but you don't know, you just have faith. So like, I think that's basically like religion tapping into like the phenomenon of the placebo effect, you know? And that's why there's like so many different religions and flavors and shit like that. It's not just like distance and boundaries or like separation or whatever, or like in different cultures. Like, it's also like people just cop on to that, like, oh shit, if you just like, if you, it's like the Matrix thing, like, you have to believe, you know? And he jumps and he falls because he doesn't believe, you know? But is what Morpheus is trying to tell him more accurately described as, you have to know, you know? Like, you have to know you can make the jump. But I've never made the jump, and that jump's impossible. But it isn't, though. Like, you have to free your mind and all this shit. Like, it's fascinating when you get into that interplay of like, what do you know? What do you believe? How do you know what you know? Why do you believe what you believe? You know? Because like, imagine you're a female and you have a husband and you have 2 kids, and you're in France and some Germans show up and some shit is kicking off. because like France ended up getting wrecked anyway, even though the French surrendered, because like the Allies showed up and like a great battle took place. You know, isn't that what happened? I'm literally like not even gonna front. I'm like literally just like picturing Saving Private Ryan scenes in my head right now. But like if your husband was like in front of you there on his knees or beside you or whatever, and there's like a Nazi general, like for some reason, God knows why, because they wouldn't like typically do this. Maybe they did, I don't know. Like, you know, but like, you know, fucking, you know, what's the term where you like, is it forsake, dispel? No, like besmirch, reject. That's what it is. Like reject Christ and Christianity, or I will shoot you, or something, like, you know. If you're the man, obviously because of like society and like religion and what would you, like, you know, peer thinking and stuff like that, there'd be all these like thoughts in your head where I'm like, where you'd be like, what's the right thing to do? To just say whatever this guy wants me to say so that we live and get through this, regardless of the shame or like going against your principles in quotes or whatever like that. Like, because the whole thing of like God knows your heart, yeah. So it's like, can I lie and God still, you know, grants me being in the presence of His grace or whatever? Because that's what I find so fascinating about lying, is like, can lying be good? Because when you look at the general rule of existence, where it's like, there are rules, some can be broken, some can be bent, but there are rules. And then it's like, you know, like everything has a positive and a negative, like everything, you know? Because like, if you turn around to someone and you go, is murder good? You know, they're like, no, obviously not, duh. But it's like, yeah, but like, people kill people all the time and they don't get arrested for it. Yeah, but that's war though. Yeah, but it's like, that's basically morally sanctioned murder. You know? Unless someone's actually trying to kill you, in which case they have forfeited their honor and like are trying to, like, you know, they're using their free will to like fucking snuff out your life. Not just interfere with your free will. Like they're like ultimately interfering with your free will, because if their free will is allowed to if they're allowed to act upon their will, you won't have the option of your free will, because you'll be dead. Like, you know, at least not here anyway. So like, that's like the ultimate like choice of like, you either fight back or you accept. Because like, I know there's like people that think like that, where they're just like, oh, just accept what happens, like, do you know what I mean? Because it's like, you have that thought of like, well, if everything is God's plan, then anything that happens to me is like deemed by God. But then you're foregoing free will. You know, like, that's why I love talking about this stuff, because I'm like, what's the, like, because no matter who you are, where you come from, or what ideology or philosophy you subscribe to, all you're doing is drawing kind of arbitrary boundaries depending on the data available to you and like what you're thinking about. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's why I respect like honesty and intellect, because that's like a really good way to get to truth, is like intelligence, wisdom, but then also like honesty and authenticity, which is why intellect and deception is like so fucked up, because it's incredibly dangerous. Like, and it's one of those like things that I'll have like multiple brain farts about, where I'm, you know, because I'll be like thinking about it out loud, and I'll be like going through the process of like, okay, so then this then, and then like, you know, you get those moments where you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense because this then, and you just like tumble down the rabbit hole in your mind of like, who's right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because obviously most of us would be like, you know, kind of leaning into the Christian ideology, especially when you go deep into the esoterics of it, where you realize that most other religions, if not all other religions, are like, they're like different forms of Satanism, and Christianity allegedly appears to be the one ideology that is like, no, all of this is bad, and like we've like taken a lot of time and effort and practice and multiple like slaughterings and conquerings to like prove that like this is the right way, and like if you do it this way you'll get an empire that lasts 1,000 years and it's like good, true and beautiful. But every time these fuckers take control, it lasts approximately 80 years, which is funny because like, isn't that kind of how long the like little season theory is, you know, where it's like there's 1,000 years of Christ, and then there's like approximately 70-ish or something. That's what I heard anyway. It's like 70 years or something, like, which is, that's not just a little season. That's basically a blip compared to like, you know, like that's less than 1/10 of the time that like Jesus gets. But that kind of makes sense, isn't it? Like if you look at the yin and the yang, and you have like all the white and then just that black dot. Like if the white is the reign of Christ and represents the good, and then just that dot is this just like pure evil, but it's like concentrated and it only takes up like a small amount of space, you know, like symbolically, that like visually that feels and looks similar to Mordor in Lord of the Rings, where you have like all of Middle Earth and there's just this mountain range tucked away that's like desolate and dark and like covered in ash and all this fucking shit, like, and only when evil begins to propagate does the darkness like start to spread, but then the light just like surrounds it and, you know, snuffs it out, like we got like, there was a sense that we like, one of the things that we kind of got brought up with culturally was like the good guys always win, you know, no matter what happens, no matter how long it takes, and no matter how bad it looks, the good guys always win, you know. The more traditional faiths of Christianity have a concept called memento mori, which is similar to that. Remember death. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, memento mori. Yeah. Well, I always thought that was remember Jesus' death. Obviously, I'm wrong, am I? Yes, ultimately, nothing can stop death in this realm. It is something we all face, regardless of how it comes. Yeah, it's like, it does appear true. I don't know. Part of me thinks that one of the reasons why so many people are into the occult is because somebody found, maybe not necessarily like what we would consider immortality or something. Like, I think there's loopholes. You know, like turning yourself into like some kind of zombie or something like that. So like, you're technically still here and you can like, you know, experience shit and all, like, but like you're like half dead or like a vampire or some shit like that. I just really wouldn't be surprised if there is ways around it where like, it's kind of like finding a way around playing an online only game offline or something, where you're like, yeah, well, if I change these settings, I can play the game offline, and like I don't have to worry about, you know, being connected to the internet or whatever like that. Like I see it as like similar like that, where it's like, you know, you can stay here and like you don't have to die, but this and this, just like in the show The Witcher, where like she shows like, in order to levitate the rock I have to kill the flower, you know. I just won't be surprised if that's what it is. It's just like you get to a point where it's like, if you make this deal, if you draw this sigil and sacrifice this thing or whatever and drink this and say these words, you will become this. You will no longer be human. You will be like something in between. And every full moon this will happen. You lose like some of your free will occasionally, but you get to live indefinitely unless you're killed, and you can only be killed by like silver or like a wooden stake to the heart or some shit. There's just like rules written in the code or something, like, you know. I've thought about it, like, you know, before, where I'm like, if I got the option to be like a werewolf or a vampire, would I be like, yeah, fuck it, go on, like. And like, I do have that personality where I'm like, give it a go, you know. Try it out for a while, like, you know. Because, like, part of me, like I've said this before, I genuinely do think that, like, this place is not what we think it is, and, like, you know, there's, like, levels, and, like, your consciousness, like, moves through different frequencies and stuff when certain things happen to you, or you do different stuff, like, you know. So, like, part of me is, like, do we all, like, are we all experiencing the same level of consciousness right now? To a degree. We're all in the same construct or level. And then, like, one of us, like, you know, people die, and then they leave here and go somewhere else. And then we die, and then we join them. And then we're aware of this new level of, like, okay, so stuff is, like, permanent now. It's not temporary. And we can, like, move around in it and shit. But now we have a different objective. Like, I had this thought the other day that, like, the main point of this place is to, like, teach us to appreciate and be grateful for things. Because, like, if you exist in a state of permanence and, like, divine eternal essence or whatever, and everything's kind of like a dream state, like, you know, there's no past, there's no future, there's no present, it just is, then you would, like, I can imagine a lot of, like, souls or entities would become quite apathetic, because they're just like, well, it's just there, it's not going anywhere, it's never, you know, like, they wouldn't care, like, they wouldn't, like, they wouldn't have what we consider, like, humanity with, like, sentimentality and nuance and, like, nostalgia and all these things. Because, like, they never get the opportunity to miss anything. Nothing ever changes unless they change it. And if they change it, they can make it permanent, or they can change it back. Like, there's no cost. There's no, like, you know, there's no entropy. There's no nothing. Like, you know, it just is. And then, like, the objective in that place would be to, like, I suppose, like, you know, like, imagine being aware of time now and then going to a place without time. Like, that'd fuck with you. You know, that whole kind of dream realm thing. Like, as far as you know, as far as you've been aware, you know, like, your whole life or whatever, it's like, okay, like, time exists, time's a thing. Like, you know, I can see myself changing over time, what I used to look like as a child, blah, blah. You're aware of time. You feel time. You have a feeling for time. And then you die and you go to a place that has no time, and you're like, oh, this feels weird. This feels fucking weird. You know, like, you know, like nothing's moved. Everything would just feel still. There would be a stillness to the permanence of the place, like, you know. Now, obviously, I'm, like, basically doing fucking. I may as well be doing thought experiments like fucking Einstein right now. But, like, I love thinking of, like, if you just take what you know to be true and then try and extrapolate upon that into a different, you know, construct. It's like, okay, well, if this is true here, then what would be true, like, there or whatever? What would carry over, like, you know? Because if it's still your consciousness and you still have your memories and shit, and then you get to another level of consciousness and you're like, oh my god, this is crazy. You would, like, it almost be like, you know, recovering from trauma in early life now, where, like, you have people like myself who, like, you know, do a bit of shadow work in your 30s, and you're like, so that's why I think these things and have those feelings and stuff like that, and it just gives you a greater, deeper, more sophisticated understanding of life itself and consciousness and why we do the things we do and all. Like, imagine going to a place with no time. Like, part of you initially would be like, oh, this is great, like, like, imagine being like, so how long am I going to be here? That doesn't make any sense. You know, there's no time here. Yeah, but how long am I going to be here, though? Like, like, that's the sort of stuff that, like, fucks with my mind. Like, where you start using terms that wouldn't apply to the new rules, and you're like, oh yeah, time doesn't exist here. Like, so hold on, how does that work then? Like, keep your health, respect your temple body, but accept that it's going to come. Time and unforeseen occurrence comes for us all. Ecclesiastes 9:11. It's Ecclesiastes 9:11. Is that time an unforeseen occurrence comes for us all? Ecclesiastes 9:11. That's fucking mad. I see 9:11 all the time. In my feeble understanding, if you reject Christ before man, he will reject you before the Father, which means he won't be your advocate when your soul is judged. Yeah, that just seems like a shit rule. I mean, if you're God and you know that like stuff like that is gonna happen, where like the forces of evil try and get your followers and believers to reject you and all that. If like I can just see God being like, I know you don't mean that, so it's okay. I know the only reason you're saying that is because X, you know. Now obviously it would depend on the context, because you'd have people who in the moment, because of fear and just a desire to live or stop whatever's happening, would be like, yeah, I reject you, I reject God, I reject Jesus, like, and mean it, you know, in their heart. And then I would understand like being God then, you know, looking down being like, okay then, suit yourself, nigga, you know, like. But I can imagine other people being like, you know, looking at the guy and thinking and like talking to God in their mind in that moment, being like, forgive me, Father, for I'm about to sin, you know, like, and then go, I reject God and Christ. And then the Nazi's like, ha, good little boy or something, and then moves on, and you're like, please forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. And God's like, it's okay, nigga, I got you. Like, like, I saw the whole thing, you don't need to worry. Like, they're doing some fucked up shit, they're not playing by the rules, you know, like, you get a pass this time. Oh, it's the crack. Ian Gananu, welcome. I was only thinking about painting Merlin there for you there the other day. I have the note on my wall, I just haven't gotten around to it, like. I do believe that. I think that that is a form of selling your soul to buy a little extra time, but every time you partake, that sin eats a little more of your soul. Too many experiences of people in Hollywood, or the elite in quotes, eating babies or having blood boys, etc. Has to be some element of truth to it. Yeah, like feeding off the youth and stuff like that, like vanity. Yeah. It's not just vanity though, you know. It wouldn't just be vanity. Like there isn't like there wouldn't just be the type of like, I just want to look, you know, youthful and beautiful forever. Like you'd totally have the other types that are like, I just want to be alive, you know. Where you get like a God Emperor situation where you're just like, you know, like it's like all these like IVs in him and shit. And he's like. It's like, well, technically he's still alive, but like, you know, what form of life that may be is like questionable. Like that film, The Substance, is all about that. It was full of unnecessary nudity and degeneracy, but the underlying theme is the quest for vanity. The Substance. Sorry, don't apologize. Ian Gannon, 117. What's 117? Are you like quoting from the Bible or some shit, like? Oh god. Apparently, we have a phrase of the day. Apparently, Brother Desmondo's creative blockage has subsided, and he has graced us with a phrase of the day. So, with the help of my feathery friend Tobias Speakers Cross, I will send cleansing vibrations through the interwebs to cleanse you of your filthy, dirty chi and allow it to flow freely. Oh. Right. Today's phrase of the day is as follows. To describe a Zionist-occupied government, it is to be led by the nose. That's funny. Again, today's phrase of the day. To describe a Zionist-occupied government, it is to be, in quotes, led by the nose. That's brilliant. I don't trust those people. Why? They're led by the nose. The nose? Like, what do you mean, the nose? The nose. Like, you know the nose I speak of. Oh, God. Domo, Brother Desmondo, for that excellent phrase of the day. And this concludes today's phrase of the day. Am I out of coffee? I am out of coffee. Oh, there's a drip. There's a drip. Drip, drip, sip, sip. I see that number all about 117. You see that? Interesting. That's an interesting one. Is 117... I'm trying to say... Is that... No, Sierra 115, wasn't it? Was it Sierra 117? Is that Master Chief's number? What's Master Chief's number? What's the number that in Halo that was like related to Master Chief or some shit? It was called Sierra 117. I'm pretty sure it was Sierra 117. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, it was in Halo 3. Hold on a sec. John 117. What does Sierra mean in Sierra 117? Like Spartan 117. Ugh. Catherine Halsey identified John as an ideal physical and mental candidate for the 150-strong preliminary pool of the Spartan 2 program when he was 6 years old. So he was 6 years old when he gets turned into a Spartan. He stood a head taller than the majority of his schoolmates, had greater physical proportions, and possessed greater strength, superior reflexes, and he was aggressive. He's a perfect killing machine. Why? Yeah, like why is the Master Chief called Demon? Like, you know, like the bad guy, like the bad guys in the bad guys of the Covenant, who are the alien bad guys in the game Halo, they're called the Covenant, and the like leaders of the Covenant are like they look like floating weird gremlin Jew fucks, all donned in like golden robe shit, and like they're in these like floating chairs, and they're called the Prophets. And there's like the Prophet of Regret, the Prophet of fucking I can't remember. But like how, and it's called Halo. Do you know, like that's one thing that like there's part of me that I've said this before. There's part of me that would love to do what Owen does with movies, but with video games. Cause I see a load of stuff like that in like games like Halo, Bloodborne. There's stuff in Lies of P that I'm playing right now. Dark Souls, Devil May Cry, Dante, Virgil. One is red, one is blue. They're two brothers. Like their father was a demon slayer who was like also he was a demon turned demon slayer. Like all of this fucking stuff. Like there's what you call it, the superhero Spawn, and he's like, he's burned alive. He was like a gangster or something like that, and he's burned alive and killed, and his family's fucked up or some shit like that. So he makes a deal with a demon called Marabolgia to come back and like be this like weapon of death and shit. I think that's what it is. Like, there's so many like, and it makes so much sense that like people who go to college to study fine art to end up doing like movies and video games or whatever. Like, it makes so much sense that they have access to all of this like, you know, mythical shit and all of these books and all these stories and stuff, like, you know. But it's fascinating how like you look at something like Halo when you're like a kid, right? and all you see is like big cool guy in armor with an assault rifle, grenades. Like all you see is like, that's cool. I want to play that. That's cool. Like you get a big strong guy shooting aliens, being the good guy, killing the bad guy. Space was cool when you were a kid. Like you got all this cool shit. You got flying machines, all these bright colors. Like all you see when you're playing Halo as a teenager or whatever is just like one of the best first person shooter action games ever, for like all the reasons I just mentioned. Like, do you know what I mean? It's got amazing like even the music in Halo. Like the music in Halo is like a cultural phenomenon. Like the whole like, oh, like it's a Gregorian chant. It's like it's one for one, almost like a Gregorian chant, and then it breaks down into the. It's like I'm getting like, I get chills when I sing it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when I think about it, I literally get chills. So like that's why that franchise is so like. Why it got so big, because like you have these people who just like tap into the right shit that like speaks to the core of our like consciousness or nervous system or soul or all three, whatever you want to like, and it's just like hitting those fucking it's hitting those buttons. It's called Halo, but like you don't think Angel when you see the thing first, because like it's called Halo, and you're like, what? Why is it called Halo? There's like a soldier on the front and blah blah, and then you see the thing in game, and you're like, it's a ring world. Oh, that's cool. That's why it's called Halo, because it looks like a halo. Oh, like, but it's like all this shit is like woven into it. John 1:17, fucking the fact that the aliens are called the Covenant and they're the prophets, and like they call him the demon and shit, like. And it's very similar to what Doom has become, with the whole like the Slayer, like, do you know what I mean, and shit. Like, and if you played Doom Eternal, there's like so much gravy in that, in terms of like, like the makers and the unmakers, and the fucking like, how the Slayer was basically the Slayer made himself or something, like, he was made by by Satan or something. I can't remember, like, but it's fucking awesome. Yeah, as far as I remember, Spawn was a cop. Yeah, I think I remember that. Like, Psalms 117 is a great one. John 117 is Master Chief. Sierra is NATO phonetic alphabet for S. Yeah, so it's S 117, Sierra 117. Spartan 117. That makes sense. I am having horrible flashbacks to the awful TV series. Man, was that a complete subversion of the game. Yeah, that's why I didn't go near it. The second I saw a trailer, I saw 15 seconds, and I saw him, how he acted. The fact that he took his helmet off like straight away, so you what he looks like, who John is or whatever. Total bullshit. Never happened in the games. They always like hinted at it. Never actually happened. So the fact that that happens immediately in the TV show is like, that's bullshit. And the way he spoke to Cortana and the way Cortana spoke to him, I was like, that is not Halo. Immediately. And like, it's not even like a book that they got wrong or something. It's literally a video game franchise that like millions of people are aware of and all, like, and you'd literally have to do just some cursory YouTube fucking rabbit hole diving to just get a full fucking rundown of what Halo is and who Master Chief is and what he acts like and what Cortana is and blah blah. Like I'm not even like, what I wouldn't consider myself to be a hardcore Halo fan, but I do love the original 3, and I liked 4, but I didn't play 5 or 6. I played Reach, I played ODST, even played, what was the real time strategy game called? Wasn't there 2 of them? Halo Wars. I played Halo Wars. They were good. They weren't great, but they were good. I don't think they were as good as like something like Command and Conquer or even Warhammer 40k Dawn of War, in terms of like real time strategy and how much like fun they were. But they were good, and they were great looking. What was I saying there? I can't remember, but like it's blatantly obvious that there's just loads of like, you look at you look at that stuff, like they call him the demon, they are the prophets, they're called the Covenant. One of them's called the Prophet of Regret, and then one of them's called the Prophet of whatever. Like I think there's 3 of them or something, 3 main ones, and they're just like little fucking like weird gremlin ghoul things in robes and crowns floating in these like levitating chairs and shit. Like, and then they have the Arbiter character in Halo 2. I think he's in Halo 3 as well. The Arbiter. That was a really cool concept where they basically like he fucks up and like gets a chance to kill Master Chief and like fails or something. I can't remember. And they like brand him and scorn him and banish him from the Covenant and like make him an Arbiter, which is basically like just like a sacrificial lamb that they throw out to do like the most insane suicide missions ever. But he ends up like basically being like, you know, unkillable. The Arbiter was a really cool character. He's basically the Covenant's version of John. It's just like an absolute killing machine. Like, but anyway, I never even played the game. Just watched gameplay footage and friends played it. Oh man, you missed out, man. Like Halo 1, 2, and 3 are fucking unreal. Like 3, like it's very similar to Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. Whereas like Halo 1 is like kind of its own thing. Because it was the first, and like, you know, they were like setting the groundwork for it and shit like that. It has its own vibe, Halo 1 does, because like at the end of it, like you have to fight the Flood, and it's just like it's very similar to the Gears of War franchise. It was like Gears of War 1 is a bit darker in tone, it's a bit more serious, it's a bit more mature, and it's gritty, and the color palette is very like grey and washed out, and it suits it. Like, you know, the blood is dark and gelatinous, like, do you know what I mean? And then 2 gets a bit brighter and more colourful, and they start focusing on the multiplayer more and less on the campaign. Still a great campaign, but like they went a bit more, okay, let's get the kids involved. Like, do you know what I mean? Like young teenagers and kids and stuff like that. Like, and I despise that shit. But like, still great game. 3, they did it even more. They fucking the women in the game became warriors. And even at the time, I was like, oh god, here we go. Like, why is Anya walking around in armor with a fucking Lancer assault rifle? Like, what the fuck? That looks so stupid. Because, like, the first one sets the precedent of, like, all the men in the COG group are, like, fucking, like, roided out. Like they're huge. They're jacked. Like, every one of them. Marcus Phoenix, Dominic Santiago, and Baird. Damon Baird, like... Baird being like the slimmest of the lot of them is still like very athletic looking, and then you got Coltrane, who's the black guy, and he's just like got like 30-inch arms or something. Like, it's just blatantly obvious that they're all jacked because they're wearing really thick armor because they're fighting, like, you know, a future war against aliens and shit. So you need to be like almost like a fucking space marine. Like, do you know what I mean? The guns are huge. They've got a chainsaw like fucking built into them and shit. Like. And then all of a sudden they just have the women in armor wielding the guns. So now all of a sudden, like, the grounding is totally off because, like, your mind looks at Anya, who's like a slim blonde with blue eyes, who used to just be like, you know, essentially a fucking secretary or a communicator or some shit. Now she's wearing armor and has an assault rifle. So everything feels lighter. You know, because your mind is like, oh, well, that must weigh like 15 pounds or some shit, like if she can carry it, you know? Whereas before, in the first one, and I think still in the second one, but like definitely in the first one, everything felt like heavy, thick and heavy and like brutal and shit, because of the artistic direction and the congruence of, like, you only see the men doing the things and the men are all huge and jacked, alright? But, like, they didn't really do stuff like that in Halo, because it was just, like, you know, fucking Master Chief with Cortana in his head. And, like, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember any, like, subversion shit, you know? But you could probably argue that, like on the face of it, it kind of looks like they're... the Covenant is a parody of the Catholic Church. And Master Chief is, like... the spirit of America, who's like protesting, and that's why they call him the demon, because he's like fighting for like liberty and freedom and all this fucking shit, like, you know, and they're like this galactic alien empire that wants to fucking, you know, wipe humanity out and all this fucking shit. Like, so on the face of it, you could probably draw the parallel of like they're the Catholic Church, because even like, you know, the shape of some of the things, and they're kind of clad in gold a lot, like, do you know what I mean? It's like all the robes and stuff, like it just kind of has that aesthetic to it where it's like, oh, okay, they're the Catholic Church, and he's like, you know, fucking the rebel, you know, the rebellious mindset or whatever like that, which could be represented by America or whatever, like, you know. And it makes perfect sense because like they make him very like, his name's John, he's like a fucking like John Rambo, you know what I mean? Like, so he's basically Space Rambo, you know, like it's a gravy number 100%. I don't get it, just see it a lot. What is John 17? One of you'll probably get it before. One of you'll probably type it in before I even get it. What's John 17? Is it Psalm 17? But it's also John 17. John 17 Bible. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus. It distinguishes between the law revealed through Moses and the superior grace and truth brought by Jesus Christ. The number 117 often refers to this verse, but it's also associated with the popular video game character Master Chief, whose full designation is John 117. That is hilarious. A detail noted in the search results on Bungie.net. That is gas. Like, you know, so you would get the impression that at least when Bungie was making the Halo trilogy, they were like based, you know, they were based. They were making a story about like that's like rooted in Christian lore, you know. Now whether they're arguing from the point of like the church is corrupt and stuff like that, and that's why they represent the fucking prophets as like aliens and stuff, like, I mean, I would speculate from having played it and like remembering and shit, like I would speculate that like they kind of are just like retelling the story of like America leaving the church when they, like, you know, left Europe and went over. It's like America is like and then it's like the Civil War, isn't it, or whatever. It's like America is like this separate entity now ideologically, because they leave the Catholic Church and then start their own thing, and that's why the Brits and the Crown, which was the Catholic Church, wasn't it? It was like the Catholic Church is like Rome. Like, obviously you can tell my history is like fucked. I just know what I know. I don't know the in-between parts. I never thought about that, actually. That it's like that, like the Catholic Church is like Rome. So what's the British monarchy subscribe to the Catholic Church, don't they? Or are they Protestant? Is the English monarchy and aren't they Germans? Like, what the fuck? It's so, like, that's why like the esoteric shit is so fascinating, because like the second you look into any of it, you're kind of like, hold on, so they come from this line and they just change their name and the symbol and the fucking, like, what's going on? Who are these people? Like, it's fascinating. But anyway, Halo 1 to 4 were peak Halo at the time. Yeah, like I completely agree with that. Halo 1 to 4, but I didn't play 5 and 6. I heard that they weren't as good, but I don't actually know from experience. But like, I really enjoyed 4. Really enjoyed 4. And before that, like 3 was like peak. You know, 3 was like amazing. But then they came out with 4 under 343 Studios. So it was like, oh, are these guys going to be able to pick up the mantle of like Bungie and make a good Halo game? And from someone who played the 3 Halos, ODST and Reach, Halo 4 was like just as good as all of them and had some better shit in it. And I loved the Didact and the fucking what were they called? The Forerunners. all the Forerunner tech, the light rifles and stuff like that. I didn't really like the submachine gun or the shotgun of the Forerunner tech, but the light rifle was fucking deadly. I remember the first time you picked that up and it like assembles itself in front of you, and then you grip the thing and it's just like like the fucking sound effect off it was like, ooh, like you could tell that they like were like, okay, so what's the Forerunner tech gonna sound like? And they like, you know, really thought about it. Like, and it's like, okay, well, the tech they came up with was like hard light technology, which is just like light that manifests as actual solid matter, which is a really cool, you know, as far as we're aware in the public anyway, theoretical technology. Because it's not just holograms, like it actually becomes like solid. So it's kind of like in the Star Trek when like they turn off the safety measures, you know, a hologram with the safety measures turned off is just as real as anything else. Like that scene in First Contact where he takes out the fucking Tommy gun and shoots the Borg in the fucking what would you describe that place as? It's like a fucking, what are they called? Like a not cabaret, lounge. What's that style of restaurant slash nightclub? Fucking, what were they called? The you know the thing I'm talking about. American style. You have the bitch singing with the fucking band, all the tables. It's all really swanky and bougie, and it's like, you know, you always have some bitch, you know, who's like dressed in this incredible dress, and it's like usually one of them like operatic bitches, like they could be black or white, but it's like somewhere, and all like, you know, and there's like the band playing the music and all waiters walking around, like, you know, what are they? What's that style called again? I can't remember now. Fucking. Oh, that's wrecking my head. Speakeasy? No, not a speakeasy. Like, you know the one I'm talking about, where it's like where you see it on all the gangster movies, and that bit in fucking Star Trek First Contact, where it's like, you know, the bitches wearing gloves that go up to their elbows, and everybody's wearing dresses and like pearls and shit. Like, your one singing. It's like, it's not lounge music. It's, I don't know. That's gonna annoy me now. Cause it's such a like particular thing. Do you know what I mean? It's such a like, it's such a distinct style. Like the Japs do it. The Japs, I think the Chinese do it as well. But the Japs fucking love it, just like they love karaoke. The Japs love that whole Frank Sinatra fucking, you know. Well, there was a girl, you know, and everyone's at those like nice circular tables with the really nice looking cloths, and there's waiters going around with champagne, and like, do you know what I mean? It's like the swanky club, you know, where they just called like, because it's not a pub and it's not a restaurant and it's not a nightclub. Is that what nightclubs used to be? Bossa Nova. Maybe? I don't know. Speakeasy? Bossa Nova? I don't fucking know. Like, I keep thinking of like cabana or cabaret. That's not it either. No, what's Frank Sinatra, American singer and actor. Hoboken. Yeah, like that's the kind of the Rat Pack and all. Oh God! Excuse me. Fly me to the moon. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. What did Sinatra die of? Oh, he had a heart attack. American singer and actor. How many times a day did Frank Sinatra shower? Why is that a question? 12 fucking times a day? What the fuck? Is that a myth? What the fuck? 12 showers every single day. That... Really? Sinatra's mother hoped he'd marry Marilyn Monroe, but that was out of the question. Sinatra took 4 showers a day. 4 showers a day. That one says 12. What the fuck? You doing that much fucking that you like American standards? Doesn't sound right, but that's like maybe it is that. American standard. It's actually a company that does bath products. What if I put an S on the end of it, like American standards? No, that's just gonna give me this fucking... I'll find it later. It's like just wasting time now, really. But I'm very curious to know what that is like, because you know the style I'm on about. Like, do you know what I mean? You have this. You have the... My brain is like racking, like trying to fucking... Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? What about this? It's like, shut up. Anyway, right. There's only fucking 14 minutes left. I'll fucking stick the tunes back on and see if I can at least get the water coming out of this and give us an excuse for a rainbow. Get a tissue to solve this issue. It's too wet. As a straight man, you would be inclined to think that nothing could ever be too wet. But you're wrong. Painting goo 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 goo.
Oh, すみません。
Okay, so a little rainbow. Maybe I might do like I might not do a full one. I might just do like an arc because I don't want to just like completely cover up the mountain. So I might just do like an arc hitting the ground here. Might do a pot of gold at the end of it for a crack for the crack, and then I'll like put in the llamas. I'm gonna put one llama like right up the front, like I did with the fucking the recent tribal guy running from the spider, or like do you remember when I did fucking the flamingos? And I did one of the flamingos like right up close. I think I did it with the cassowary as well. I still think that's one of my best paintingus so far, is fucking Pablo Escobar's fucking house. Welcome to Cuba! And it's just this like transformer trying to kill a lot of cassowary in fucking Pablo Escobar's former domicile.
What's going on here? Communism.
Like, don't ask questions. Like, okay. I might be able to. I have a few minutes left, so I might try and set up the silhouette of at least one of them. Painting goo 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 goo. A pot of crack at the end of the rainbow, yeah. You'll never get me pot of crack. Yeah, do you know what? I might set up the big one first, because if I do the big one first, it'll give me an easy reference to like just do smaller versions of them. So llama. Oh, it's 2 L's, isn't it? Is it 2 L's? I think it's 2 L's. Yeah, llama. Oh man, these things are too funny looking. I fucking love llamas, man. They're fucking brilliant looking. Oh, dude. That's why I love the chisel heads, the flat heads. Like, look at the... It's just so satisfying to cover, like, a large area. And the flow you get, like... You can blend. You can do a line if you want, like, you know. This one's gonna be hilarious. I just have a feeling. I got a feeling that this goo's gonna be a good goo. What you're seeing is advanced. What you're seeing is advanced communism. Are you talking about Canada again? Again, Desmond? What you're witnessing is advanced communism. You leave my fucking country out of this. Like... The only reason Canada doesn't smell like shit at this stage is because it's cold. There isn't enough heat to, like, lift up the shitty particulates from all the Indian fingers. Oh god. Any day that ends in Y. Any day that ends in I love shit like that. That's the equivalent of, like, do you want ice cream or cookies? Yes. Like... Oh fuck. Right. I'll leave it there. I hope you all enjoyed today's goo. We will return Monday, and I will cast a rainbow and give goo birth to to some llamas. Oh fuck! Right, much love. I'll talk to you Monday. Have a good rest of your Friday evening, and have a good weekend. Be good, be true, and be beautiful, and pay for painting goo. Swine! Filthy mortal scum!